I've got a very special guest joining me to kick off this show. He's a man that holds a 17-0 record with 8 KOs. He's currently ranked number 7 by the WBC, number 10 by the WBO, number 13 in the IBF for the junior lightweight contenders. He also is a European super featherweight champion. He goes by the nickname the Piranha. That's Ryan Garner. Ryan, I appreciate you taking time to come on today.
No, appreciate you having me on, mate.
Absolutely. Well, first things first, Ryan, I want to get into your upcoming fight. It's been announced now. We know July 26th, Reece Bellotti, and what's going to be a massive domestic fight for you guys. All these belts are going to be on the line, 4 in total. Walk us through this mindset and just how excited you are now that you are about a month and a half out from this fight now.
Yeah, like you say, it's a massive fight domestically. It's for all the marbles, really, British, Commonwealth, European, and obviously my WC international title. So I just know if I get through this, the next step only is world title level. So it's a massive stepping stone for me, but the biggest fight of my career. But it's more that I think at this stage of my career, it's the perfect timing.
You know, we don't always see a fight with this many belts involved in it. This is going to involve those 4 belts that you talked about. So I wanted the backstory. How did this fight come to be? What was the process, and how did you guys make this fight happen?
Obviously, it was one of the names. Obviously, now that Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn, they seem to be working a lot more together now
Right.
on fights and getting stuff done. So it's kind of made it easier. Obviously, I'm the European champion. Reece was a name put to me as the British and Commonwealth, and obviously, I know normally in the UK, it normally go British, European, then world level.
Right.
So I kind of like skipped it a bit. So it's kind of the opportunity come back around for me to fight for the British. Obviously, it's a big title in for a British fighter to win. It's very prestigious. So I'm glad I got the opportunity. And but it's a tough fight, very tough fight, but it's one I'm very confident and capable that I can win. And obviously, it's a good domestic fight for British boxing, and it can take my name to the next level.
Curious, if you talk about the fact that obviously Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren are working better and closer together these days. Let's say we were to go back 2 or 3 years ago. Does this fight get made at that point in time?
Potentially,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it would have been a lot more difficult if you know what I mean. They
Right.
didn't really. It would have been obviously like maybe went the purse bids and then people like and then yeah. So obviously yeah, there was always it was just very far and few between that they did cross over. Do you know what I mean onto other platforms?
Mm-hmm.
But now they're working together. It seems to be more reoccurring, and obviously it's good for us fighters. Really, it gives us a bigger platform, and now obviously we're both on the zone, so it's kind of give us more opportunity to fight other people and get more belts.
When you look at everybody you fought in your career, and we're going to get into your career in a little bit, but you talk about all the guys you've gone up against. Is Reece Bellotti going to be the best person that you've faced in the ring yet?
I believe so. Yeah, like
Okay.
I say, my last three they've been stepping stones, stepping up each fight,
Right.
but I don't think none of them bring like the fight that Reece Bellotti will. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's very fit. He's strong. He's game. He's up for a row. So it's one of them fights, mate. It's going to be good for the fans and everyone that's going to be there in attendance. Like it's an all-action fight. He's even said it. I've said it. Everyone who's went to fight got announced. Everyone's been saying how that our styles will gel and make for a great fight, which I believe is true. So yeah, this fight it's a very good entertaining fight, mate.
I know we're still a long way out. We got about, like I said, I think it's 8 weeks, 7, 8 weeks until the fight ends up happening
Just under
now.
8 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, just under 8 weeks. Obviously, you're still going to go through a lot of work in your training camp and get a lot better shape and all those different things. But when you step in that ring, as of this point in time, do you feel like this is going to be the best version of Ryan Gardner that we've seen to this point in time?
Yeah, it's got to be. If I'm honest,
Right.
mate.
Yeah.
I believe it's got to be the best Ryan Garner. Obviously, like I said, Reece is a very good fighter. I've got to be 100% to make sure I get this win. Do you know what I mean? If I'm not 100%, it can make me pay, and I could lose this fight. So I'm under no illusion that I've got to be switched on all the time. Got to make sure preparation goes right and everything. I just got to do everything right, mate. I was like, say, it's a banana skin this fight.
When you look at this fight, if you were to make a prediction on this date, June 2nd, 2025, how do you see that fight going down on July 26th?
Ryan Garner win all day long, mate. I'm destined for big things. I'm destined to go and fight at St Mary's one day. Fill out St Mary's football stadium,
Mm-hmm.
and just go into world honours, mate. I just believe it's there for me. I'm capable of it. So I think it's just everything's fallen into place perfect how it should be. Slowly with each fight getting tougher. My my reputation, if you know what I mean, as selling ticket seller.
Right.
Selling out arenas is slowly growing, and it's all falling into the perfect place, and it's meant to be, mate.
Well, Ryan, I really want to get into your story though, because you've gone to this place now, and you have had quite the journey to get to this point, and quite the story. So I want people to get to know
Yeah.
your journey to this point, and get to know you better, who you are, and how you got to this point. So I want to go all the way back though. Was boxing always the sport that Ryan Garner wanted to pursue? Was there other sports? What made you fall in love with boxing?
If I'm honest, mate, I was a footballer when I was younger. I
Hmm.
used to play football. I got two older brothers. I was playing football and that. I played at a good level, like reasonable level. Um, but then, like I said, I got two older brothers. So I was always fighting. I was always having fights at school, fights out on the street. So I was always fighting. And my brothers used to go to the boxing gym. They didn't obviously take it seriously as much. But then, as soon as I turned 10, I went out to the boxing gym and just got in the ring sparring, loved it, loved beating people up, loved having a fight, and I never looked back really, mate. And obviously had a good amateur career, kept sticking at it, won the European title as an amateur, three national titles, and I just obviously knew I had something about me. Do you know what I mean? I was fighting. Obviously, you don't win everything I did without having something about you, and then turned pro and I haven't looked back since really, mate. And I think if I'm honest, it's the only career that I can make the money that I can make. Do you know what I mean? I could go on a building site and earn the money I can make. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I skills I have in the ring, so it's just meant to be for me to fight, mate. If I'm honest.
Was there a point in your career, and if so, when was it? You all of a sudden it all came together, and you realized, you know what, this is a sport that I can pursue, that I can make an earning off, I can make a living off of this, I can be very successful in the sport. If so, when was that point for you?
Don't know. Like when I was an amateur, obviously I started winning everything, and I won a European title as an amateur. That was
Right.
kind of the turning point there. But then obviously when I turned pro, I was only 17, 18, and I'm sparring all these. At the time, they're all men. They're world level fighters. They're fighting at high level, and I was
Mhm.
mixing it with them. Do you know what I mean? I was a young, so that's when I knew. I knew I had a bit about me. Do you know what I mean? And over the years, I slowly got better and better, and I just knew, I was going to make something of it.
When you made that transition from the amateur ranks to the pro ranks, was that an easy transition? Like, do you feel like, I know obviously the style is much different between the two different versions, but do you feel like that suited you better going to the pro ranks, or how was that transition for yourself?
Yeah, like if I'm honest, if I didn't turn pro when I did, I started training to turn pro at 17 because
Okay.
obviously in England, 18 you turn pro. But I started falling out of love with amateur boxing like as a whole. Obviously, you're a young kid at 17 there, you start going down the wrong path, making the wrong decisions, like going out with your friends more. But then so I started training to turn pro at 18, and then I just got me back in love with boxing again. Do you know what I mean? And it
Hmm.
was something I needed to relight that fire in my belly to boxing. And yeah, since then, I ain't looked back really. I've had a few blips and ups and down moments, but we're still here and we're undefeated and we're on the verge of winning this, mate. And then I'm close to a world title. I mean, I'm ranked, like you said, ranked seventh for the WBC. If I
Hmm.
win this, it potentially find me out the rankings again, and then there's loads of doors to open.
You know, when we talk about another component for you, representing Southampton, I know means a lot to you. I know something that you take a lot of pride in. When you
Mhm.
talk about now the fact that you've gone to this place you're at today, 17 now, have a chance to make the world title jump in the near future, these type of things, what does it mean to you when you look back to your roots of Southampton and know that you get to represent that area?
Yes, it's massive. Like at the moment, Southampton as a city, everyone's behind me. It's like
Hmm.
they've got the football club as well, which is a massive part of Southampton. The Southampton Football Club are right behind me. Got the city right behind me. Like I said, I'm selling out arenas now as well.
Hmm.
And the whole city's been right behind me. Like I'm very lucky, really, to have the sport I do. Like there's so many great fighters out there that are really good fighters, but they don't have the backing of fans like from their city or their area, and they don't
Right.
kind of get that next level. They don't get that breakout, which thankfully I'm lucky I've got the backing from my city, and it's given me the opportunity to headline, bring big time boxing back to Southampton, and obviously, like I say, I want to bring big fights to Southampton and big world titles. I want to be the best fighter to ever come out of Southampton, and I believe I'm on the verge of that. Do you know what I mean? If I win this, I think I can cement myself as the best fighter to ever come to Southampton. That's what spurs me on. That's what G's me up to
Mm.
be known as the best fighter to ever come out of Southampton. And I believe on July 26th that I will cement myself as that.
I want to go a little bit deeper in that statement. And you talked about the aspect of, how important it is for a fighter to have an area, a city, a country, even in some cases behind you, because I think that's something that you can always fall back on. You have that as somebody that kind of, they'll go and buy tickets, to go to these different things for yourself.
Yeah.
How critical is that for a fighter to have a community, a fan base to rally behind you?
Oh, it's massive, like I say, because it brings when, like I say, there's always opportunities there as well. You see a lot of lot of good fighters, yeah, that they've lost quite a few times.
Right.
Normally they would get see like one about people who sell a lot of tickets who got arenas and they got the backing. If they lose a fight but they got to sell a lot of tickets, they get another chance. If you know what I mean. Some
Right.
fighters, if they lose a couple of times, they kind of get forgotten about and pushed to the back because they're not a ticket seller. They're just a good fighter. Well, they was a good fighter, but now they've lost. It doesn't matter. But if you can sell out arenas and sell tickets and put bums on seats, then you've always got an opportunity there.
Right. I know in America, I think it's a lot more than it is over there in the UK area, but obviously America likes to use social media as a way to promote themselves and kind of get themselves, attention that way by doing different controversial things. It feels like it's a lot more organic when you talk about UK. Like, the fan base is truly just built up. They love you who you are, love your fighting style. When you
Yeah.
talk about that aspect, how would you say you develop that? Because obviously from the outside looking in, we know you have a fan base in those aspects, but do you feel like that just naturally happens out there, or what kind of grows in fan base? And when did you kind of realize you had that fan base?
Um, Only the last couple of years, really, my fan base has grew. Like, obviously, taking these type of fights with Liam Dillon, especially when style is exciting, that
Right.
gets you fans as well. Being an exciting fighter, knowing a lot of people, obviously, it's heated drama. There's not much, bar the football club in Southampton, there's not much going on. Obviously, you got the football team, but
Hmm.
bar that, there's not much else going on. So the people of Southampton want something to help back someone,
Right.
one of their own, if you know what I mean. They don't rely on the football club. They want to back someone else as well. Do you know what I mean? Back one
Hmm.
of their own, and which they're doing. So yeah, lucky really.
All right, so I want to go into those first couple of years of your career because you turned pro, you're 18 years old, you're going on. There's a lot of ups and downs those first couple of years. And obviously, we look back at that now, and you've more than made it out successful. You've not both outside the ring and inside the ring, your life turned around. When you talk about those first couple of years, how much did those tough years, those trials and tribulations that you went through, helped you become the fighter and the person that you are today?
Um, Like I said, mate, I could have. I went through a lot. Like, I had a good start to my pro career when I was 18. Started off well, then I had a few blips, making the wrong decisions, taking the wrong, not advice, but just being a stupid, like typical young man, like Germany, going out drinking with their friends. I went
Mhm.
the wrong path. But luckily, my missus now, we've got two lovely, beautiful girls, kids too. Um, it was thanks to her, mate, really, turned me around. Do you know what I mean? Like, she like, helped me, inspired me, she motivated me to keep going. If you know what I mean, she knew I
Right.
could make something of myself. She stuck with me, and thankfully I did make. Because I say I was borderline debating whether I wanted to box anymore about
Mhm.
4 or 5 years ago. So if it weren't for her, mate, I wouldn't be boxing now. I wouldn't be talking to you now. But luckily she did, and it's paid off dividends, mate. And then now potentially I could be on to massive, massive things, and hopefully being able to supply for my family financially massively.
How critical is it for, I think, in any area of life, but let's say obviously for you, your box, you understand that way of life. How critical is it to have a supporting cast? We just talked about the fan base, but that true intimate inner circle for yourself. For you, obviously talking about your wife. How big has that been for you to have that in your circle and to have that as a fighter to be able to grow through life with her?
Oh, it's massive. Like I said, I got my missus, I got my two kids at home.
Hmm.
That's what motivates me. Like, I don't care if I never box again, if you know what I mean. But
Hmm.
it's just I just fight so I can provide for them, give them a better life.
Hmm.
So their motivation, them three girls are the ones that motivate me. So if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be in a position I am today, and I wouldn't be wanting to succeed as much as I want to succeed.
You said another portion in what we were talking about before, that when we were going to those early portions of your career, that there was a point that you looked at and said, you don't even know if you're going to want to continue to box yet. Obviously,
Hmm.
we know what happens. And if you would have given up on, obviously, you wouldn't have the 17-0, 8 KO record. You wouldn't be the top ranked guy. All these great things has now happened over the past few years. When you look back at that point in time, walk us to that point of your life.
Um, I think it was just like a typical. It gets to that age where everyone's down, all your mates are down the pub, they're drinking, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And you're kind of like missing out on that. Obviously, 'cause professional boxing, you'll be 100% dedicated, so it's hard. But obviously, it's the only thing I know I'm good at and can make financially good money from. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it was, I didn't really stick out. Do you know what I mean?
How close were you to giving up on boxing? Like, how close did that point come for yourself?
Uh, Pretty close to one. It's like, yeah, pretty
Really?
close. Like, even sometimes now, mate, boxing's hard old sport. Do you know what I mean? It's 100% dedication.
Right.
Even sometimes now, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Do you know what I mean? But like I just said, there's nothing that I can do with my life more and financially stable my life, and
Right.
obviously give my kids a better life than boxing. Do you know what I mean? It's something I'm good at. I could go work on a building site 9 till 5 and earn peanuts compared to what I can earn potentially from boxing. So
Hmm.
it was a no-brainer, mate, just to stick it out. And like I say, it's a short career, so just stick it out for a few years and then see how it goes. And luckily, I did really because, like I said, I'm European champ, ranked number 7 in the WBC,
Hmm.
got a British Commonwealth title shot next with the European, and I'm headlining shows now. So
Yep.
it's all paid off in dividends. You know what I mean? And hopefully, I can keep going and hopefully bring a world title back to Southampton.
Ryan, I have to ask you this. If I were to happen to know that 18, 19, 20-year-old Ryan, and you're coming off the accident, you obviously the different things with the weigh-in issue, all the different things happen. I would have known you at that point in time. I said, hey, Ryan, in 2025, you're going to be fighting Reece Bellotti for a massive fight. You're going to have the European super featherweight title belt. You're going to be a top 10 ranked person in the WBC. What would your reaction have been?
I wouldn't have believed you. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have believed you. I said you're lying. But listen, I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason, and there's a reason for me to carry on boxing is to go and achieve big things and become the best fighter to ever come out of Southampton, and hopefully do my kids proud, do my family proud, and do Southampton proud. I think yeah. So, well, like I said, I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason, and I believe I was meant to carry on boxing because there's big things to come.
You talked about the fact that obviously you end up getting to that point. You decide to pursue boxing. It's still difficult. There's still ups and downs in boxing. It's a very difficult sport. But if we were to go look at your career and you were to kind of evaluate a certain point, can you pinpoint a moment that you started to realize, you know what? This can be something that I'm actually going to be successful at. I could possibly be a top 10 ranked contender. I could possibly be the European super featherweight champion. Like, do you kind of remember when that started to click for yourself?
I kind of knew early on anyway in my pro career anyway, like
Okay.
because I was when I was like 18, 19, 20, I was sparring some of the like the world champions. I mean, I was sparring Josh Warren, Carl Frampton. I was doing
Mm,
stuff with the Welsh brothers at the time. I was sparring world and Mark Condon, people like world class fighters. I was sparring them, so I kind of knew I had something about me. Do you know what I mean?
all right.
It don't can't fluke all them times sparring that kind of caliber of people and doing all right. Do you know what I mean? So I was knew I had something about me then, but I probably started knuckle down when I first got with my missus now, my fiance. When I got over, like I said, it was a cross path, but when she kept me grounded, kept me focused.
Mm,
And then since then, really, it's been a turning point, and I've just obviously started slowly up in the level of competition, the people I'm fighting, and it just kept winning. Do you know what I mean? It just kept
right.
winning. So once you keep winning, and you realize how good you are. Do you know what I mean? So it keeps you going.
When you look back at that portion of your life, the early stages of your pro career, and you go through all the turmoil, all the different stuff going on at that point, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you learned, whether that be as a boxer or as a person and a man outside of that ring?
Um, I don't know really. It's hard, yeah. Like, man, I don't really look at anything. Like, I'm pretty plain sailing, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
I just get on with stuff. Do you know what I mean? I
Hmm.
don't really think about it too much. I just get on with it. And it's done good so far.
Well, I want to get into your relationship with Frank and Queensberry Promotion. Obviously, they've been with you for a very long time. You've had a great relationship. How did that first come to be? How did you get to know Frank, and how did you get to be part of Queensberry?
Um, Obviously at the time, my trainer now went back, who we've been together with since the start of my pro career. I trained with him when I was younger. Obviously, there's now like all the, he's pretty much it. What at the work. There's a few more now, but
Hmm.
when I was younger, he was the only pro coach really in Southampton. So
Okay.
I've been in since I was young. I was doing this with him when I was young, and then yeah, like I say, I was falling out. I was amateur, and then at 17, I was thinking, well, I'm going to carry on boxing. I needed something different from the amateurs, you know what I mean? So when I started training with Wayne again, like I said, I trained with him when I was younger. So I went
Hmm.
there to see him when I was 17, started doing some training again. Just needed that something fresh enough, something to give me that hunger again, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's I went to train with him to turn pro. And at that time, he had Joe Pigford, who
Mm.
he was, at the time when I went there, he must have been like, what, 12, 13 and over, 30 knockout, knocked them all out
Right.
or bar one fight, and he was on the so he was just knocking on the door, and then with big promoters. So he was only doing small hall, and obviously Wayne was training him, and then he took Joe to Frank Warren, and then off the back of that, really, obviously Joe. Then obviously they got Joe signed with Frank, and I turned him over. Obviously had a good amateur career.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah, obviously Wayne and Joe went there first. Joe signed with Frank, and then I went there obviously with Frank Hopkins and Wayne back trainer. And then I signed with him as soon as I turned. Well, I went to see him when I was 17, ready to pro fight at 18. So yeah.
When you make that transition from the amateur ranks to the pro ranks, was that easy for yourself? Like, do you feel like your style of fighting translated well? Was it difficult, or how would you say that transition was for you?
Much better professional. But like I say,
Figured, yeah.
three rounds is very short, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like you see, that's why you see nowadays. You see some of these world class amateurs because they can win easy over 3 rounds.
Right.
But these coming in when they start doing more rounds, 8, 10, 12. A lot of these Olympic medalists don't do very well at all. Like, do you know what I mean? Because
Right.
they can't withhold. It's your fitness, your stamina, your strength, all that kind of stuff. All comes into one. It's not
Right.
just in amateur boxing. Some of those tippy tappy moves, tippy tappy moves. Who can get on your bike and touch score quick? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas pro is more nitty gritty, and that's how I like it. My style. Do you know what I mean?
Right. You have the nickname the Piranha. I want to know the backstory behind that. How did that come to be? How did you get that nickname?
Well, like I was just talking about Wayne. Obviously, Joe Pigford, who
Mm-hmm.
when I turned pro with Wayne, he was fighting. We was there. I think it was after my I didn't have one for the first 2 fights or 3 fights. Then having a nickname. Obviously, he was Joe the Pigford, and obviously everyone's got a nickname in there. And we was trying to think for ages what what rhymes with like we started off. He was all like Ryan the Lion. Yeah, cheesy in it. Iron Ryan, just rubbish like nickname, cheesy ones.
Sure.
Um, and I just yeah, just I don't know. I was just thinking about what could it be, and then the prana like it just I don't can't specifically pinpoint how it come about me like thinking of it, but it
Right.
come about and it's thick and everyone loves it. Like I don't think there's ever been a prana, is it, for a professional
Yeah.
boxer? Not that I know of anyway, and it happens to rhyme with my last name, so it's good. And like I say, the old catchphrase, feeding time every time I'm fighting, so it's all good. It all worked out well for me.
I love that, man. So when I look at your career, Ryan, there is a certain fight that I feel like was the moment kind of that people started recognizing, okay, you are the real deal. You are a top contender. That was the Archie Sharp fight. I feel like when you went out there last year and you made that massive statement, that was kind of like this nail in the coffin. It's like, okay, Ryan's a guy that's ready to fight. Obviously, he's not going to fight the world scene yet, but he's ready to go make that next jump. If he wants to go fight on the top levels, he's ready. Would you agree with that? Like, do you feel like that was the moment that you kind of realized, you know what, I can fight with the best of them?
Yeah, that was my that was the tip of the iceberg. You know, what I mean, like
Yeah.
that kept me away because look, Archie, he was ranked number one in the WBO.
Mm-hmm.
He was undefeated, 25-0, I think, at the time.
Yep.
He was supposed to be this like good feature. I mean, he taught the talk. Listen, I got respect for him, but yeah, that was the turning point. Like I say, he had all these world rankings, all this stuff. It was just me. I just watched. I'm myself. I'm not flamboyant. I'm not nothing. Do you know what I mean? I just like to fight. I can fight.
Right.
So yeah, that was just, and like I said, the way I won, like I thought it was going to be really, really difficult fight, really hard fight. Obviously, he had a name, undefeated, world ranking. I thought, and for me, he was like calling out the Shakur Stevensons, all
Yep.
these other world level fighters, and then for me to go in there, I just won pretty convincingly. You know what I mean? And that's when
Mm-hmm.
people started to talk about it more, realise more, and even though Frank had my back from the get go, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's had my back, but that was like since then he's proper and think, yeah, Ryan's ready for the next level now, you know what I mean? But he's
Right.
guided me perfect. He's getting me the perfect fights at the perfect time. Do you know what I mean? I had a hard fight with Liam Dillon, then an uptick against Usher, and then last one was supposed to be an hard fight, fought for the European title,
Yep.
won that, keep winning, and then now again I'm up in it again. Another harder fight with Reece Bellotti. So I just think Frank's guided me perfect. But everything, well, Wayne, Frank Hopkins, my whole team's they're just guiding me perfect, man. It's all working out well, and I believe it's not finished yet.
When we talk about that turning point, the tip of the iceberg you talked about, and you now have a lot more attention on yourself, everybody starts to know your name. You're now relevant in the boxing world around the world. Have you realized any sense of pressure that now comes upon you, or how have you handled the new attention?
Yeah, I know there's pressure in that. I know there's pressure, but it's weird. My last two fights, I've kind of gone in. I kind of took a turn, mate. Like I say, with the Archer fight, I should have been really nervous. So I mean, it's the toughest fight of my
Right.
career. But I went in there like I don't give a fuck mentality. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
what I was like I said, whatever's meant to be is meant to be. If I'm meant
Mm,
to win, I'm meant to win. I'm meant to lose, I'm meant to lose. I've done my best in training. If I'm not good enough to beat him, then I'm not good enough. It is what it is. Like, do you know what I mean? And then I've done it my last two fights. Just took a massive weight off my shoulders,
okay.
and I ain't worried about nothing anymore because I just said, look, whatever's meant to be, is meant to be. So I just go out there, could give it a will, and if I'm meant to win, I'm meant to win. And obviously, I've been meant to win, so I'm still winning. You know
I
what I
like
mean?
that answer because I feel like that could be a mindset that honestly for all athletes probably need that because you're going to have ups and downs. You might lose some point in your career, you might win. There's going to be ups and downs. It's part of life.
Yeah.
And has that always been your mindset or has that been something you've developed now as you've
Nah,
gotten
that like you
older?
say, it's just been my last two fights, mate. Like
Okay.
the last two fights, just, and it's good for me. Like it takes the pressure off your shoulders,
Yeah.
and it's just go in there and just be me, and it seems to have worked. So like I
Hmm.
said, the other ones, all my other fights, previous fights, I was more worried about. Oh, I didn't want to lose and make myself look an idiot, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Whereas now, like I said, I'm just gone into it is what it is mentality, and there's no nerves, there's no nothing. And it's working. It's making me feel comfy at ease and more
Mm.
relaxed. And yeah, like you say, because sometimes that added nerves and pressure you put on yourself, it can drain you.
Yep.
So luckily it hasn't, and I've been fine in my last few fights.
Let's head into your most recent fight, March 1st. Salvador Jimenez, European Super Featherweight titles when you win that award there. Can you take us through that fight? Because you dominated him 120 to 108 on all three scorecards there. But winning that European Super Featherweight title, what did that mean to you?
Massive, massive top. Do you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's it. Obviously, over here it normally goes British, European, world.
Yep.
So obviously, now I've got the chance for the British, but even though I skipped it, the
Hmm.
Europeans are massive. It's like I said, the only thing next up is a world title, so it was a massive achievement, and I believe that's the biggest title anyone from my city's ever won. If I'm
Hmm.
honest, I think so anyway. If I'm right in saying, but that's why it's just a massive achievement, mate. And now I've
Right.
got the whole city behind me, the football club, just everyone. So it's kind of just turned life around, and I'm
Hmm.
headlining all the time now, which is good.
All right, so I want to ask you now as we get back to the present time. And I know we already talked about your fight upcoming with Reece Bellotti in the first portion of the interview, but when you go through the negotiating process here, obviously you had the European title. You could have went and made that world jump, and obviously still a
Yeah,
massive fight, but you could have fought, one of the top guys from another country, whatever it might have been. What brought you back and said, you know what, I want to go fight Reece Bellotti? Why is that the guy you chose?
the belts.
Mm,
He's got British and Commonwealth.
right.
Like I kind of went past it with the Europeans. Normally goes British, Commonwealth, European world.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought at the time when I fought for it, I thought, it's a shame, it's a bit gutting that I never got the chance to fight for it.
Okay.
But yeah, I managed to go back. Luckily, it's come back around, and then yeah, got the chance to do it, and then hopefully win this one. Then I'll go on the world titles.
Well, I've got to ask you now. You are still about a month and a half out. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of training and a lot of preparation. But when you
Mhm.
step in that ring, when you fight Reece Bellotti on July 26th, is this going to be the best version of Ryan Garner that we've seen?
Yes, and I believe it's got to be. Do you know what I mean? I think it's going to be the toughest test of my career. Look,
Hmm.
he's very fit, strong, game fighter, but I think I've got the same attributes as well. And I think I'm just a bit cuter, just a bit more intelligent. I think technically better. So I think, like I said, I've got to be at my best to win this fight, and I believe I will. With each fight, normally I believe where I'm staying busy and active now. With each
Hmm.
fight, I'm getting better and better,
Yep.
and I believe my uh, 26th of July, I'm going to be a better version of myself again.
What is your prediction for how the fight goes down on July 26th against Reece Bellotti?
Well, I'm going to win all day long, 100%.
Hmm.
I'm not going to
Love it.
call how or what because I don't want to put that pressure on myself. Generally, try and
Yep.
force it, but I just know, like I say, I'm a big believer in destiny. I'm destined to win this fight, go on to big, big things, and sell out St. Mary's one day.
All right, so then I have to ask about your future. You beat Reece Bellotti. Obviously, you're going to move up higher in the rankings. I'm not sure exactly what those rankings will be, but I'm sure you'll be top 5 in the WBC. Could possibly be inside the top 10 in multiple other groups there as well. And you're going to have the chance to go actually make that world jump. Go fight for possible world title in the near future. What is your goals? Like if I were to ask you, let's say the next 12 to 18 months heading into 2027, what are all the goals? What do you see yourself accomplishing in that next year, year and a half?
Well, I believe the plan is really win this one, have a fight end of the year, potentially back on Bournemouth again, and then in the summer, hopefully at St Mary's Southampton Football Club at the stadium. So that's my aim in the next year. That's
Okay.
my aim, maybe 2-3 times. But this fight end of the year, maybe start of the year, depending on how it goes, or maybe just go in June at St Mary's, sell that,
Hmm.
and make history, mate. And hopefully that'll be for world title. Because like I said, all the belts and domestically in
Right.
the world. So hopefully get world title fight at St Mary's in the summer this year.
You are 27 years old, Ryan. You are very, very young. And when you talk about your division, obviously there's a lot of great fights out there. Is there somebody you'd want to fight? I know we have guys like Shaki Foster, obviously having his fight upcoming now pretty soon, but you have so many guys at 130 that could make sense for big fights. Is there somebody that you would have your eyes set on that you would like to go out there and fight?
Nah, mate, I don't call out anyone. Do you know what I
I
mean? I've
like
never
it.
called out anyone. That ain't my style. I'll just fight whoever's put in front of me.
Hmm.
Like, I got no animosity against no one. It's a joke to me. Do you know what I mean? If you're in front of me, I want to take you out. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
But, so I'm not really one for name calling. So, but I'll fight anyone, mate.
I love
Anyone.
it.
Whatever titles are there in front of me makes sense. I want to make as much money as I can. For kids, that's the main thing.
I love that answer, Ryan. Well, Ryan, I've got a couple questions before I let you go. One of which is talking about your legacy, something I was like wrapping up talking about, and that's when you look at your career. One day, eventually you'll put down the gloves, you move on from boxing. What is that you want to be remembered for what you've accomplished both inside and outside of that ring?
The best fight to ever come out of Southampton. That's my aim. And I think I'm not far away from it now. I think if I win this on July 26th, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be cement myself as the best fighter from Southampton. That's my
Mhm.
dream. That's my aim. And then whatever comes from it after that, comes is anything better. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I'll be known as the best fighter to ever come out of the sea. And I believe, like I said, if I win this one on July 26th, I believe that's cements it British Commonwealth and European. And then whatever comes from after is then.
I love it, Ryan. Well, Ryan, I have one final question for you instead of following up on that one you just talked about. If you do become and solidify yourself as the best fighter from Southampton, what would that mean to you?
Mate, I'll be the happiest man in Southampton. Nah, alive. Listen, mate. I'd love to. I'll get it now anyway. Yeah. Like,
Hmm.
like when I'm walking around Southampton and I'm out and about and go to these football games, I get recognised. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I love that feeling. Like it's good. It's good feeling like seeing all these kids come up to you asking for photos. Just average people like myself. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? They just come up to you. Everyone wants to speak to you, chat to you. I like it, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
a people's person, and I love that. So I'm hoping, like, if I become the best fighter, and then that's solidify it on 26th July, and hopefully I'll do my city proud, and I'll be remembered for it, and hopefully, yeah, I'll just be well known around the city, man. That's all I want to be.
I love that, Ryan. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you taking time to come on today, man. It's been a blessing and honor having you on here. And I can't wait to see what God's got in store for you on July 26th.
Now, thank you, man. Appreciate you having me again.
Absolutely, man. You're always welcome on. God bless.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.